champion, Ronnie Coleman, announced Larry Wheels, strongest bodybuilder. Yeah, buddy. Tonight.
He got his deadlift down real good. Probably one of the strongest deadlifters I've seen.
On our way to train with Larry Wheels at Biners Gym. Let's do this.
Hey, what's going on, Larry? How you doing, bro?
Jaw-dropping videos of Larry Wheels lifting some ungodly amount of weight are what we're all here for. So let's see Ronnie the King Coleman react to Larry Wheels' heaviest lifts. Larry Wheels. Larry Wheels Williams is an American powerlifter, bodybuilder, and strongman known for his incredible feats of strength. Most impressive is that Larry outlifts men much heavier than himself. Although Larry has weighed as much as 296.6 pounds in powerlifting meets, putting him in at 308-pound weight class. This extra weight is also advantageous when he competes in strongman events. In contrast, Larry cuts down to about 259 to 268 pounds for bodybuilding contests. He has much more definition at this size, but still competes in the super heavyweight division. At 18, Larry Wheels entered his first powerlifting contest in November 2013. He took first place in the 275-pound weight class, despite weighing 20 pounds less than most of the other competitors. After that, he continued competing and getting stronger. Finally, in November 2017, at just 22 years old, Larry set a world record with 2,275 pounds total in the 275-pound weight class. Within 3 months of his powerlifting record in February 2018, Larry competed in his first bodybuilding contest and won the NPC Gold Coast Muscle Classic in California. Then he competed in the NPC Nationals in November 2018, placing 11th. In addition to powerlifting and bodybuilding competitions, Larry performs other feats of strength, including unconventional lifts and arm wrestling. Most recently, Larry has focused his efforts on strongman contests. In 2020, Wheels set another world record of 2,370 pounds in the 308-pound weight class. This total included an 870-pound squat, 645 benches, and an 855-pound deadlift. In June 2022, Larry Wheels bench pressed 675 pounds at about 275 pounds body weight. This was the biggest bench of his life. Larry Wheels has excellent genetics and responds better than most to resistance training. This genetic potential is evident by the fact that he was stronger than most grown men when he was 16, even without steroids. In addition, Larry has relatively long arms for his height. That limb length gives him an advantage on deadlifts where he doesn't have to bend as far forward, and it may also increase his leverage in arm wrestling. However, it doesn't help on a bench or squats. Larry Wheels beginnings. Larry Wheels Williams made his name as a powerlifting prodigy, performing mind-blowing feats of strength on Instagram. The story of how Larry Williams became Larry Wheels, a 24-year-old powerlifting prodigy, social media sensation, fast-rising bodybuilder, and aspiring strongman, begins on a Caribbean island, with a skinny teenager hoisting a pair of cinder blocks attached to a broomstick. Williams, the only son of a single mother, had bounced from one temporary home to another before he moved to the island of St. Martin from New York City at the age of 12 to reunite with the mom who had temporarily lost custody of him. Two factors, Williams says now, led him to craft that first handmade barbell. The first was boredom and the second was bullying. Williams was a tall and impossibly skinny kid with my Adam's apple popping through my neck, he admits. He also had no place to attend school. The only options were a French language institution where he would have been utterly lost, or a private school that his mother couldn't afford. He spent his days bored out of his mind and struggled to find friends among the native teenagers who treated him roughly. To combat both problems, Williams turned to exercise. The gyms in St. Martin didn't allow anyone under 16, Williams says, so he'd do sit-ups, push-ups, and pull-ups and lift those homemade weights until he'd exhausted himself. Then he'd ride his bike around until he was exhausted again. After a while, he couldn't go a day without working out. When he returned to New York with his mother, he joined a gym immediately, swapping those handmade barbells for heavier and heavier iron weights. And here he found his calling. He said, "I realized at age 17 I was already the strongest guy in the gym." Williams further says, "I didn't want to let this talent go to waste. I started asking myself, what am I here on earth for? I wasn't good at academics, I hated school, I hated studying, and I hated doing homework. My heart always lay in getting strong at the gym. That was all I was passionate about." Williams is still the strongest guy in nearly every gym he walks into. He has more than 500,000 Instagram followers, and if it feels as if he's setting new personal records and some world records every other week, that's probably because he has been for the past few years. His feats of strength on Instagram, like a 585-pound one-arm deadlift, a 225-pound one-arm bench press, and a 440-pound overhead strict press have become the stuff of legend and a way for Williams to continually challenge himself while also growing his online audience. Though he knows how to put on a show for social media, he's also done it in competition. In November 2018, Williams eclipsed the combined world record for the 275-pound weight class by lifting a total of 2,275 pounds between the deadlift, back squat, and bench press at a Revolution Powerlifting Syndicate powerlifting meet in 2017. The year before, he'd already set the combined world record in the 242-pound weight class by totaling 2,171 pounds. But as far as Williams is concerned, he's just getting started. He recently moved to LA, and he's training for bodybuilding competitions, both to grow his social media following and to further challenge himself. In 2019, he plans to spend time in Iceland training with Thor Bjornsson, best known as both the Mountain on HBO's Game of Thrones and the 2018 winner of the World's Strongest Man competition. Williams feels as if the best years of his career may still lie ahead of him. Yet it wasn't always easy finding his way, even after he knew he'd found his calling in the gym. Along the way, Williams regularly worked through injuries 2 or 3 times a year. They were mostly minor setbacks, including tears in his hamstring and soreness in his lower back, nothing that required surgery. Yet they were slowly taking a toll on his body. Williams assures he wasn't ego lifting back in the day though. Rather, he had and still has a passion for going heavy. Ronnie Coleman reacts to Larry Wheels' lifts. Ronnie Coleman is one of the best bodybuilders in history, winning the prestigious Mr. Olympia contest 8 times in his career. Even though Ronnie competed in bodybuilding, he still had a background in powerlifting and used to lift hefty weights when he was a bodybuilder. Ronnie is probably the strongest bodybuilder that has won Mr. Olympia. However, when it comes to strength and powerlifting, Larry Wheels is another beast.
Watching some of Larry Wheels' heavy lifts, I want to just share my thoughts on what I was thinking when I was doing the same type of lift he's doing.
He focuses strictly on becoming stronger, and he is one of the world's best powerlifters. Larry Wheels has lifted some impressive lifts in his career that have been recorded on camera.
396, this is some heavy weight. Most I ever did was like 12 reps, so he's kind of got me beat on that one.
In a compilation with the best Larry Wheels lift, Ronnie watched it and reacted to it, measuring the strength he had in his prime versus the strength Larry Wheels has now.
He got me totally beat here. I've never even tried anything like this before. I know that was extremely heavy.
It turns out that even though Ronnie was massively strong, Larry is stronger than Ronnie was in most of the lifts.
I haven't even tried to attempt to do it exercise before. I think I did like 10 reps with 315.
Understandable, since Ronnie was a bodybuilder, while Larry is specifically a powerlifter. Even though Ronnie was super strong, he admits that Larry is much stronger in some exercises.
25 for 73 reps. Had a contest over at the Arnold Classic. This is still pretty impressive for 50.
By the end, Ronnie Coleman is definitely impressed by the crazy heavy lifts Larry Wheels has performed in the last few years.
He's doing it, and he's making it look real light. This was when I was warming up, but this way heavier than mine.
Ronnie and Larry trained together. Few people in the early 2000s were more known in the fitness industry than Ronnie Coleman, an 8-time Mr. Olympia winner who is considered one of the strongest bodybuilders ever. So it makes sense that Coleman would partner up with powerlifter and bodybuilder Larry Wheels Williams, who has amassed an online following for his ability to crank out personal record after personal record. 2 generations of strength sports greatness collided when Coleman and Williams, multi-time world record holders in powerlifting, trained legs.
I follow his routine. I'm curious how he's training these days.
Remember, I was trying to do legs last night. I couldn't do them, so I do the legs there.
Ah, perfect.
It's not clear when the workout actually occurred, but Coleman was in Dubai, UAE for an expo appearance when he trained with Wheels in Binus Gym.
I do some dynamic stretching. Before I do squats, I try not to pre-fatigue my muscles.
The workout was captured on video and shared on Coleman's YouTube channel.
Lightweight, baby, let's go! Get in that groove, yep, there you go, come on, yep, lightweight.
Coleman served more as a coach for Wheels during this particular session, with Wheels looking to replicate a version of one of Coleman's most legendary workouts.
Very different from how a bodybuilder would do that. So you don't want to do like quad extensions first, or maybe hamstrings, pre-fatigue there.
In 2003, Coleman squatted 800 pounds for a double in a squat suit, and then leg pressed 2,300 pounds for 8 reps.
Take your time, because y'all would have gone by now.
Lightweight.
Wheels started with the safety squat bar for his squats, and he worked his way up to a reported 600 pounds, which he got for 14 reps. That was real good, Coleman said in the video.
I've trained with a lot of pros over the years, and I noticed that the trend amongst most of them, they'll do the squat at the end. But with me, the opposite. I'm trying to lift the most weight as I can.
Wheels retorted with a line he likely wanted to say in front of Coleman for years. Still warming up, nothing but a peanut.
So let's do it. All right. Yeah, buddy. You got this. Nothing but a peanut. Oh, yeah. Real life.
The duo moved to the leg press next. Coleman had been recovering from numerous surgeries since his retirement, but he felt good enough to perform at least one set with Wheels. Eventually, Wheels would work up to a set of 1,180 pounds. The entire set wasn't shown on camera, but Coleman was seen looking on approvingly at the end.
Good, he just did 600 for 14. Yeah. That was good.
Still warming up, nothing but a peanut.
At one point, Wheels and Coleman discussed his training and ability to do full splits when he competed. The famous videos of his squats and leg presses were in the same workout leading up to the 2003 Mr. Olympia, where Coleman won his 6th of 8 titles. The workout was a part of his DVD, The Cost of Redemption. Coleman said he opted to do the heavy leg presses after shortchanging himself on the squats.
When you did 800 in a squat, were you doing splits at that time as well?
Yeah. Remember when I did 800-pound squat, I went straight to leg press after that.
At the end of the video, Coleman used one of his canes to knight Wheels as the new strongest bodybuilder in the world.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of stretches. I did like 30 minutes.
That's a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
I do maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Well, see, I was doing full splits on stages.
There is no word as of this writing if or when Wheels will step on a bodybuilding stage again.
Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman announced Larry Wheels, strongest bodybuilder. Yeah, buddy. Good night.
If that doesn't happen, that moment will likely be a career highlight for him. As for Coleman, he's been undergoing stem cell treatments and reports to be training and in better health, as well as in less pain than he had been for the last several years. That's all for today's video. See you next time.